Hi, it's Katie. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you an easy step-by-step guide on how to paint this simple floral composition. So to start, I've already lined some cartridge paper with some washi tape just to give it that nice clean edge. Of course, if you do have heavier paper, that would be best, but if not, then just try and apply less water onto your page just to prevent it from buckling too much. For the first layer, we're going to add some soft tones into the background. So take just a tiny bit of the ink onto the tip of your brush and mix in with a lot of water. Ink is incredibly pigmented, so you can see that I've had to dilute this again just to kind of get the tone that I want. Always have some scrap paper on the side, just kind of test it out before you use it. And it's good to have some kitchen towel on the side as well, just in case you need to blot off any mistakes or dry your brush as needed as well. Now keep dabbing this tone onto the lower left side of the page. You don't need to be neat with this, just keep dabbing away and the ink will do the work for you. Now for the branches, you do need to use a brush that has a thinner tip. So I am going to use the first two brushes on here. For the longer branches, I am going to use the second brush first, just because it holds more ink and kind of gives you more movement as well. Using the same tone, I want you to make some quick upward strokes. The quicker you do it, the better it is, just so you can get that nice sleek line and also that pointed tip at the end. So you should place the majority of the strokes onto the right hand side, but of course do add a few onto the left as well, just for detail. Now switching to the smaller brush, I want you to add some finer lines just coming off from the longer lines that you just did. Of course, try and scatter them a bit, just make them look natural, do more in some places and fewer in some places. For the leaves, we're going to use the same brush and tone as well. So I want you to just follow along the lines that you just did, making tiny little strokes on both sides. You can do little dabs as well. It's simply just to imply the shape of a leaf. Like you did with the branches, do make sure that you kind of scatter these. So on some areas you want to just maybe do a few, just to put like a few leaves on a branch. Other areas you want to do more, just kind of make it look busier and just make it more interesting as well. And this part may seem tedious, but please be patient with this because it does look really good once you've finished it. When you get towards the bottom part, just make sure that you work into that as well. Just add a few leaves into certain areas. You don't need to go crazy about it. It's just to make sure that the two parts connect with one another, and it also helps add more texture as well to the piece. Okay, now you need to leave it completely dry. It needs to be completely dry to the touch, otherwise the next layer will just bleed into this first layer that you did. Of course, if you do have a mini fan, it does work a treat. For the next part, we're going to be painting some flowers. So for that, I'm using the third brush on here, simply because it's really good for the kind of rough dabbing texture, but it's also still fine enough for some details as well. So I'm moving on to watercolours for the flowers. So I'm going to make a pink by adding a lot of the white, a bit of water and also a bit of the red as well. Do check the colour first on your scrap piece of paper before you go straight into the painting. This way you'll see if you might need to add a bit more pigment or you might need to add some more water. So we're going to start with a soft pink first and then we'll slowly build this up later. Holding the brush vertically, I want you to just keep dabbing little clusters of flowers onto the left middle part of the page, kind of where it meets the kind of ends of the leaves. I'm going to add a few clusters, just kind of naturally spread out from one another. It's up to you if you want to add more or less, or if you kind of want to be more selective with this. So to build this up, we're going to make a more vibrant colour. So I am simply just mixing more of the red into the previous colour that we made. I've also added a little bit of the crimson red in it as well, just to kind of give it a bit more depth. Using the same technique, I want you to add just a little bit of that colour just onto the parts that you painted previously. You simply need to just dab a few onto the kind of outer edges, because whilst the paint is still wet, it would simply disperse naturally and kind of give a nice gradient effect. Whilst it's still wet, I want you to add just a little bit of that diluted ink just into really small sections, and again just dab it in and just let the ink spread naturally. Once you've completed this part, you do need to let it dry again, so now's a good time to maybe grab a drink or get a snack if you need, just to refresh yourself. So for the branches, it is going to be the darkest part of your picture. By doing this, it kind of helps create a sense of perspective into your picture, so we've got a sense of foreground, midground and background as well. So slowly add more ink into your palette, but do it gradually and keep testing as you go along. You can always just add another layer on top if needed. If you like, do use a pencil to just lightly sketch out where you kind of want the branches to connect to the flowers, and also when you kind of want the leaves coming out as well. If not, then simply go straight in and start from the bottom and just kind of draw a crooked line until it kind of reaches to just about where the flower starts. So from that line, you want to add other lines just coming out of it, and make sure you kind of vary the distance and also the direction that you're going in. And again, just continue doing that from those little lines, connecting it to all the little flowers around it. Now we're going to work back into that main branch, so you simply want to thicken that line by drawing kind of another jagged line next to it. You can make the ink a bit darker if you like, or if it's already really dark, you might want to choose a slightly lighter colour if not. And do amend as you go along, so you can always just add more branches, or maybe some coming from the side or more coming from the bottom as well. As I carried on with this, I decided to just add a bit more pink elements as well, so I just added a few dots just to look as if there's some flowers that haven't quite blossomed yet. And towards the end, I did also add some more flowers towards just the right bottom hand corner as well, just because I felt like it made it look a bit more balanced. With the leaves, just going to treat them the way you did the other elements of the drawing. So first, just kind of mark them out with little lines, just in terms of what direction you want it to go in and how long you want the leaves to be, how busy and cluttered you want certain areas to be as well. We're so close to the end now, so there's just some final bits of detail that I want you to pay attention to. So with the leaves, I want you to kind of vary the shape. You can simply just make some a little bit wider so that it meets nicely at a point, or for others, you can simply draw a little curvy line around it and just fill it in. You can also play with perspective by making bigger leaves and smaller leaves as well. Bigger ones will look closer towards you, and smaller ones will look as if they're further away or they've just sprouted. For the bottom part, I diluted the ink further and just added some rough details just to look as if there's some branches kind of further into the distance. I'll love to see how you got on with this, so if you do give it a go, then do tag me on Instagram at kl.prints and I'll love to check it out. Thanks for watching this to the end. If you found this tutorial helpful, then do give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, then please just comment down below and I'll try my best to answer them. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.